Hello, everybody, and welcome to the next Create Better Content workshop that we're doing today. I want to thank everybody for showing up live, as well as for those of you who are watching on the replay. So I'm going to jump right in today because, as usual, I always have a lot to say on something. And this is a really important piece of your content that you're going to want to get into. So today we're going to be talking about evergreen content. And whether you've heard about evergreen content before or you've never heard about evergreen content, we're going to get into all of it today. So let me get started here. So we're going to talk about what's evergreen content and why this matters for your SEO, your search engine optimization. What are the best formats for you to use for evergreen content? I'm also going to touch into how to get the best results, how to promote, how to share your evergreen content for your marketing strategy. And then I'm going to be sharing your next steps because we're going to be doing our next co-work content workshop again. So for those of you who are with me right now and you've been on it before, I'm going to give you the link. So you'll be the first ones to sign up because there's only 6 spaces like there always is. So let's get going here. I see people coming in. I'm just going to keep moving forward to be mindful of everybody's time. So as I always do, I like to introduce myself. Since 2010, I have taught over 125 social media workshops at the National Entrepreneur Center in Orlando. And I have worked with hundreds and hundreds of small business owners. So this is not just for those of you who are coaches or who are just, have a product to sell. It is, I can help you with any type of business that you are in. I'm the owner myself of 2 businesses. I've been doing content marketing for about 22 years now, and I started the Create Your Business program in 2018. So for those of you who are maybe just now finding me for the first time and have not seen any of the other Create Better Content workshops, you can always go visit my YouTube channel called Create Your Business, and you'll see a playlist listed there for all of the workshop replays, so you can catch any of them that you might have missed. And next month, we're going to be doing an interesting workshop where it's not going to be so much content focused as in developing content, but I want to talk about tracking your progress. I want to talk about metrics that you should be monitoring, especially as we're heading into the end of the year. I think it would be a good idea for you to get an idea about what's been working for you this year, how you can end your year really strong, as well as how you can start planning for 2024. So check your inbox for more details on that. All right, let's jump right into it. And as always, I like to start out sharing some information about creativity and why this is all so important for what we're doing here with our content creation. This specific piece right here, I want to touch on about brainstorming. And the reason I want to talk about brainstorming specifically with regards to today's topic of Evergreen is because when I go through this whole process of Evergreen and I explain to you what it is, what it's not, and how you can use it and how you can best use it with your content marketing strategy, a lot of this is going to come from the idea of, well, I don't have that kind of content. I don't know what I should be doing. So that's why I wanted to touch on this piece today, because I think that this idea of brainstorming is one of the best ways that you can uncover some new ideas for evergreen content, discover some options for you to grow your email list, and so on and so forth. So let's jump right into this. So I want to talk about why creativity is a problem finding tool and problem solving tool. Before I discovered this whole content development process that I'm always talking about here with you guys, I always said when there was a problem with something in my world, I would just jump right in and search for the solution. There's got to be an answer. There's got to be an answer. I got to figure this thing out. And then I would follow this cycle over and over and over again and find out that I was researching. And I was just researching and researching for the pure sense of researching sometimes, just because I wanted to say, oh, I've got an answer now, or I'm just going to keep going until I can figure out this answer. And so I want you to understand that sometimes when we're doing things like this, when we're problem solving, when we're thinking and we're trying to figure out the solution, are you really just doing this because you just want to say that it's fixed, because you want an answer? Or don't you want more than that? And so that's why I want to talk about today, why creativity is your best problem finding tool. So if you've gone into this research version that I was just talking about, you've gone into a version of autopilot. And I'm always talking about how we always want to go into autopilot, how we always go back to our comfort zone. We always go back to what feels normal and what feels comfortable to us. So I want to take you out of that comfort box just a little bit. And I want to share an idea with you about creativity being a problem finding tool, problem solving tool, whichever words you want to use. Instead of just searching for answers and listening to one more person on YouTube telling you what they think you want to hear, I want to talk through this idea of something called creative problem solving. It's a thing. I didn't just create this just because it's a creative in it. It's a real thing. So let's talk about this. This is the part that focuses more on using your imagination to find solutions to your questions. And you can become a creative problem solver. And as you can see here in the notes on the screen, when you move through this process like this, it disrupts the pattern. It disrupts the autopilot stuff. It disrupts the everyone says to do it this way stuff. So this is the way I'm supposed to do it. And it gives you a fresh perspective. It gives you a new way to start looking at things, especially when you're trying to come up with content ideas for this evergreen content that we're going to talk about, or even a video series or copy for your website, any of that kind of stuff that you're going to be doing with your marketing. This process that I'm about to take you through really quickly is going to help you work through all of that stuff. So let's talk about these steps. So the first thing that I want you to think about when we talk about creative problem solving steps, is I want you to understand that what the goal of this is to help you uncover new innovative ideas that are going to lead you to the answers that you're seeking. Instead of you spending hours and hours or days and weeks or, God forbid, months searching on Google for something, I want you to take a step back and think about how you can do some creative problem solving. So the first thing you'll do with this is start by asking open-ended questions. And when you use open-ended questions, you end up with multiple possibilities. And what I mean by open-ended questions is you're not going to have a yes or no. Does this cost a lot of money? Yes. Is it too hard for somebody to go through this process? No. Those are close-ended questions. You want to open up the idea. And so when you're asking yourself open-ended questions, it's not about a quick answer like that. You want to challenge your assumptions. You want to see what's beyond the possibilities of something that, oh, everybody else is doing it like this. So what, I'm just going to figure out my way that I'm going to do it like this. So I want you to think past that. And that's the idea behind creative problem solving skills that we're going to be talking about. And so here's some of these questions that I was asking, specifically with regards to those open-ended questions. So if I asked you the question of why would I want to buy this? See, that's not a yes or no question. What if we did our promotions like this? It's not a yes or no question. How might we? These questions are open-ended questions. And so you can see just by looking at these questions, if you were to start your brainstorm process and you were starting your discovery process with one of these questions, or even all of these questions, you are asking open-ended questions. And what you are doing is you are allowing yourself to think about multiple possibilities, multiple ideas, instead of just, no, we're not going to do this, or yes, we're going to do this. So the first step you want to think about open-ended questions. The next thing you're going to do when it comes to problem solving, this creative problem solving skills, is I want you to, just during that brainstorm session, suspend your judgment. Don't make a quick judgment when you get an idea like, oh, that's not me. I don't like to be a person on video. I don't like to hear my voice on recordings. I don't do that kind of thing, because you're just going to shut it all down before you've even had a chance to truly flesh it out. Because what if you're not a good video person, but the idea of the videos come into play and you don't make a judgment about that, and you're like, okay, well, how can I take this? How might we use this idea instead of doing a video? Maybe I do a blog series. Maybe I do an animated video and I could just put my voice on it instead of my face on it. So don't shut things down. Don't just, I want to say suspend your judgment is the best way I can do this. Because what happens is, and this always happens, your ideas come to you in just a raw first draft form. And they need the ideas need time to grow and develop. And it could possibly, once you give it that time and once you start moving through this could be one of like the best promotional ideas that you've ever had, one of the best marketing messages that you've ever pulled yourself together. And it has everything to do with the fact that you gave that some idea instead of just shutting it down completely. So try not to suspend your judgment, even though you might initially want to. Think about this. That idea came into your head for a reason. Maybe there's a piece of the idea, maybe there's a part of it that you could use. So don't just get this idea and go, no, that's not me. I can't do that kind of thing. So I want you to move past that. And again, the idea is the idea. It's not that anybody's forcing you to be on video. It's not that anybody's forcing you to do anything like that. But if the idea came to you and it popped into your head as when you asked yourself one of those open questions, how might we, why, all of that kind of stuff, think about how you could take that idea and turn it into something that feels more like you, that resonates more with who you are and what you do and how you can share your marketing messages online. You see, because here's the thing, when you immediately catch yourself finding fault with this idea, that's when you could just shut it all down. And you could miss out on something that could be potentially one of the best game-changing ideas that you have ever used for your business. So think about how you could maybe just take one piece of the idea or spend 15 minutes testing out some app on your phone. Just take a little bit of it and just see before you shut it all down, okay? Remind yourself that this thought came to you for a reason. What's the message that this thought is trying to send you about what you should be doing? And the last piece that I want you to keep in mind with regards to creative problem solving skills is you can add these two words, yes and. Yes and has its foundations in improv comedy. If you ever know anything about that, it's a fascinating thing. It'll send you straight down the rabbit hole, but it's a really amazing piece of way. I'm going to start that sentence again. It's an amazing way to turn things around, right? So no matter what's going on in your head, oh, that's not me on camera, that's not me who does that kind of stuff. Instead of going, but this, respond with yes and. So I'm going to give you an example here. So I could say, okay, so I came up with this idea about doing a video series. I'm just not one of those people that does videos. Yes, and I think I could take this idea and turn it into an opportunity for me to do an animated series instead. Okay, so your job is to allow yourself to continue exploring this idea and exploring these paths to uncover your answers. Let me give you another example here. So we could say, I am not really getting enough traction on Facebook. So I'm just not sure what's going on there, but I'm not going to use it anymore. So that's a good statement that we could say. So let me turn that around. So I'm not getting any traction on Facebook, and I don't know what's going on there. So instead of me using the word but, I say, yes, and maybe I could see if there's somebody else that's using Facebook that does something very similar to what I do, and I could follow them and see what is it that they're doing. How often are they showing up? How frequently are their posts? What's in the content of their post? Why is it working for them? So you see how I turn that around instead of like, oh, I'm just never going to use it again, into let's use this as an opportunity. So these are the things that I want you to think about. I want you to use yes and, especially when you're doing this internal conversations of what's going on. I want you to suspend your judgment when things come up. When an idea pops into your head, it's there for a reason. And it may be not the actual idea that you end up using, but we could use that with yes and to explore other opportunities that we could do it. And the third thing we want to do is when you are brainstorming, when you're going through this whole process, I want you to be thinking about using open-ended questions versus something that's just a yes or a no. So those three things right there is going to help you use creativity to help you problem solve and brainstorm some ideas for your content. All right, so let's jump into this whole thing today about evergreen content. Okay. So what exactly is evergreen content? Evergreen content is something that is a topic that's very specific to your business, to your industry, and it will stay relevant and valuable over a long period of time. You may need to do some minor updates to some of the dates or the data or whatever that, but it continues to be relevant and it continues to be valuable even after you've published it. And because of that fact, it allows more traffic to flow to your website, to flow into your email, to flow into your sales leads, and all of those kinds of things that we're going to get into with this conversation. What evergreen content is not, I'm just going to lay it out there right now. It is not a numerical report or a bunch of statistics that are likely to change and go out of date. It is not a piece about a specific holiday or a season, because it's not going to be relevant and valuable after that holiday or that season has ended. It is not an article that's focused on a current trend or a pop culture fad. They call them trends. They call them fads for a reason, because they will go away. So it doesn't become relevant, and it's not timely, and it's not valuable after a long period of time. And it's not connected to the latest event in your industry, because there's going to be another event, and then there's going to be another event, and there's going to be another event. So we want to look at evergreen content as something that will always stay relevant and valuable well after the date that it's been published. So I want to talk a little bit about why this is so important for your marketing strategy. As I said earlier, it does drive people into your sales funnel. It allows people who might have never found you before, who might not have seen you before, even if it's, a blog post that you've written and that it answers somebody's question and they're typing in that question on Google and your blog post pops up. It encourages people who have never tried your product and maybe don't even know who you are to actually visit your website and to learn more about you and what you do. And as I keep moving through this, you're going to keep hearing me say this over and over again, but it is still important. It continuously drives traffic to your website. It could drive traffic from social media. It could drive traffic from Google. It could drive traffic from a video, from an image, or however you decide to repurpose it. You could even create an opportunity to support it even more with like a content upgrade, which will then get people into your email list, bringing them into your sales funnel. It also allows you to give you content to help you promote a product or program that you are just launching at that point too. It also improves your search engine rankings, since evergreen topics are the ones that are most often searched. Your content is likely to rank higher on the search engines and keep growing if it's a really, really high quality content, if it's a long form blog post, if it's a good video series, if it's something that's high quality, it will continue to be shown through the search engine results. And it creates value for both you and the customer. So evergreen content generally is answering a common question that your target market has. It gives them answers to their questions, and which is the value for them, and it provides you with organic results for your website. So that's the value for you. So evergreen content helps everybody. It helps your target market, and it also is helping you and your website. So if we think about this, we want to make sure that evergreen content is providing value, drives traffic to your website. It's less work for you because it's content that you get to repurpose, and you can promote it on different platforms. And when you promote it on different platforms and you find the places where people are already hanging out, it helps you generate even more leads and reach more people that you might not have reached if you just posted up that blog post and you just let it go. So again, evergreen content really goes hand in hand a lot with repurposing. I think we talked about repurposing a little bit last month when I talked about being consistent, but it is repurposing and evergreen are very connected to each other, because I get it. So here's the thing about content that everybody wants to keep in mind. Creating content does not always mean creating a brand new piece of content every single day. That's a lot of work. I mean, a lot of work. And I can tell you that personally. When I do those Instagram challenges where I do 30 days worth of Instagram posts, and I do 2 new pieces of content a day, that's a lot of work between the writing of it, the researching it, the creating the images, and the posting of it, and making sure the hashtags are all there. A lot of work. So when we have this great evergreen content, it allows us to not have to focus every single day on what am I going to post today? That kind of thing. It enables us to have some really, really great content that we can continue to share, and we can repurpose this off of, multiple platforms. We could turn a blog into a video, or a video into a blog. You can share it on Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook. You can send it to your email list. You can turn it into a published article on LinkedIn. All of those things can take place with one piece of content. One simple piece of content can then get repurposed into all of these things. And so then it looks like you've got a brand new piece of content from people who didn't realize that you wrote that blog post, 6 months ago, but it's such great, valuable, relevant piece of content that you want to continue sharing it over and over again. So I want to talk a little bit about this with regards to me personally. I have a piece of content that I wrote. I think I posted it in 2018. That sounds about right. I wrote this blog post called 10 social media ideas that you can do in 15 minutes. And basically it's really clear. It gives you like 10 ideas. Do this, do this, do this, do this. And all of these things you could do like really quickly in 15 minutes. That piece of content consistently shows up as one of my top pieces of content every single month. Most of that content is most of that traffic is coming from Pinterest. And because Pinterest is one of those places where things get housed and they stay there for a long time, and it's a keyword type of search engine optimized website versus Facebook or Instagram. Those are more of a social type of website, because when we talk about SEO based websites or SEO based marketing websites, maybe that's a better way I want to say that, we generally have these 4, and I've shared this with you before, but I'm going to go again: Pinterest, YouTube, Google, and TikTok. All 4 of these are highly searchable, and all of these are more search engine than social, if you really want to know. Well, TikTok is probably social a little bit too, but it is very, very social. It is very searchable. And so this particular piece of content that I'm talking about, this blog post that I wrote, consistently every single month It is driving traffic to my website. It is driving traffic to my website. So some of the things I want to talk about, especially in that last piece where we really get into some tips about Evergreen. I'm going to give you some details about something that I'm working on right now with regard to that piece of content to show you how in real life, how we can take this information that I'm providing with you right now and turn it into something where you can actually convert more people than just visiting your website into something where they're going into your sales funnel, where they're going into your email list, where you can take them beyond them landing on your website and turning them more into a part of their customer journey. So let's leave it at that. So let me keep moving here. That was my horn sound. So for those of you who are with me today, and for those of you who are watching on the replay, we have the next co-work content creation workshop set up. We're going to be 2 dates again, September 7th and September 12th. We're going to do 90 minutes, and each one of the dates will only have 3 people on there. So there's only 6 spaces available. So if you want it, get it now. Go to bit.ly/co-work content, all one word, all lowercase, all one word. And that'll take you right to the page where you can sign up. All right, let's get going here. Let's keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. All right. And I want to, as always, give you a creative exercise because I just spent that whole section talking about using your creativity for creative problem solving. And now I want to give you an exercise that if you're not sure what to do, and I always say, just do something creative. I want you to do something that has nothing to do with painting or writing a book or anything else that we all think is creative activities to help you brainstorm these content ideas. So for today, because we're talking about evergreen content, I wanted to talk about the creative idea is I want you to plant something, because I know that gardens and backyards are places of where we can take a break, where we can have, quiet, peaceful moments. And this could be planting something inside as well, not necessarily outside, because I'm sure that everybody's dealing with the heat out there right now in the summer. But this is also planting you can do inside as well. You can do like a mini herb garden. I've been seeing on Pinterest, there's this thing which I'm dying to try now, where you can plant a lemon tree in a cup. Makes your whole house really smell lemony fresh, and you don't have to have like a big huge tree and all that outside. You can do it right there in your house. So when I say plant something, I'm not necessarily having to create a whole big garden landscape, but I want you to think about the idea of planting, of planting something. And when you're working through the planting and you're getting the soil and you're thinking about the seeds and all of that stuff, and you're doing the steps that it takes to plant something, that's the moment that you're opening up that right side of that brain, and that's allowing the right side, that creativity time, to come in. So I want you to think through it like this. And the reason I brought this up today, because of this example right here. If we think about it like this, you remember I shared with you all that stuff about how, especially suspend your judgment on that. So if we think about it, a little seed packet contains everything that you need to grow, a little herb garden or a big plant or even lemons in a cup. It just takes a little seed packet, right? Teeny little seeds. And if we think about our ideas, like those tiny little seeds, that things always start small and they just need that space. They need a place to be planted and watered and given enough sunlight to grow. That's what your ideas need. Your ideas need this opportunity to be planted and watered and given enough time to flesh them out so that you can let them grow. Think about how the act of gardening and planting seeds can help you uncover some creative insights. So if you've never done anything like this before, I know you can buy packets of seeds at the grocery store. So I'm not even asking you to go down to the garden center. Actually there are garden centers at a Walmart or a Target or whatever like that. You can get something like that. It'd be really fascinating to hear if anybody has actually gone through this process and to see if planting something is going to help them get some inspiration here. Because if we think about this, if we use this analogy of planting something, big changes in your marketing begin with small steps. And those little small steps are the pieces and parts that help you grow your business. Just like those little seeds in the dirt will turn into a bigger plant. And if Mother Nature can take weeks to get a seed to bloom into colorful flowers, then you can trust the slow movement enough to give your ideas the time to grow into big opportunities. So we're using all of those things from before, just suspending our judgment, trying out a little piece of it, using those open-ended questions when we come up with some answers. Give it that time to marinate. That's what I usually do. Whenever I get a really good idea, I don't immediately act on it. I always give myself time to let it grow and to let it kind of sink into my head. And I sort through all of these things and I go through it and I'm like, what if this? What about this? How might we do this? What if we did this? What if we did this? So what I'm doing is I'm planting something when I get these ideas, and I'm planting these ideas into my head. And I move through this process and I allow that right side. And I always do something that stimulates the right side of my brain. And right now I'm suggesting some type of gardening, because there's steps in the gardening. We water, we put soil in the planters. We basically have, there's things that we need to do. We don't just dump the seeds on a plate and go grow. It doesn't work that way. So we need to do all these steps, just like we need to do all these steps with our ideas for our business. And so that's why I'm using this analogy. And I want you to think about how you could do something like that. Plus, I really think it'd be super fun to plant something and to see if it could really, grow and it could really turn into something. Because when you plant something, you actually find yourself having to slow down. And you slow down because, like I said before, it takes weeks and weeks before that seed turns into something, turns into a little sprout. And then from the little sprout, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And so it allows us to also think about, we don't have to come up with something immediately. We can just put that seed into the ground. We can water it. We can give it a little sunlight. We can give it the time that it needs to grow into something bigger and turning into such a great opportunity, especially if you've been dealing with some sort of content struggles and you have some ideas about what to do and what should I be doing? Should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? So take this analogy two ways. Number one, I'd love to see you plant something, but I also would love to see you also use this analogy with your ideas and your content brainstorming and your content development, I guess, like your content creation, or I guess maybe it's a better word, to keep building your business. So think about it from that perspective. So it's kind of twofold here. And always be open to the unique ideas. Keep a notebook app nearby so you can document any ideas that come up to you during the exercise. And just to remind you, and I'm going to keep reminding you throughout this, and you'll probably get this again. So if you want to join us for the next co-work content creation workshop, only 6 spaces there, 3 for each date, one on September 7th, one on September 12th, bit.ly/co-work content. All right. So now we are going to get into the heart of all of this. So I think by now you pretty much are kind of clear about what evergreen content is not, and then what it is. So if we know what it is, and we've done some work to brainstorm, we've done some creative problem solving, we've got some ideas, we've been marinating in it, we've been thinking about it, we're planting something, we've got some seeds we could turn into sprouts, which can turn into larger plants. I want to go through this about some tips on how to use it, how to create it, and where you should be sharing it. So let's jump into all of this, because I think one of the biggest things about evergreen content is finding your own spin on it, your original angle, your voice in it. Because what's going to happen is, for something to be valuable, for something to be discovered, one of those, when I a few slides ago, when I talked about how evergreen content is one of the highly searchable types of topics. So if it's so searchable, you know, other people are using it. Excuse me, other people are writing about it. Other people are talking about it. Other people are sharing it on their stories. Other people are sharing it on their videos. So if it's already out there, we're gonna use another creative problem solving skill. Let me throw this one in here. So if it's already out there, what am I going to do so that I can stand out? We're not going to go, but everybody else has done it. What's the point of me doing it? So if everyone else is doing it, yes, and I'm talking about it as well, but I have a different perspective on it, because for me, I put the science in it. For me, I talk about creativity. For me, I add this in. And so use that with yourself. Use that. Yes, and so for me, this is what I think about it. This is how I view this particular topic. This is how I'm going to share it. So I get it that these other people are using it, because that's what makes it searchable. That's what's making it evergreen content. So I want you to think about how you can put you into this piece of content so that it becomes evergreen content for you and your business versus just everybody else's evergreen content. And so the biggest thing I want you to keep in mind is that evergreen content relies on your target market. It is based on what they need and questions that they want answered. It's it. End of story. It's not that hard. So if we think about what it is that they need and the questions that they answer, that is always the best place to start when it comes to creating evergreen content, especially one that is going to be shared, that's going to help you create that organic traffic that you're looking for, that's going to help you drive that traffic. Like I was talking about earlier about that particular blog post, using a way to people can get to my website, which I can actually, from there, they usually get onto my email list, but I'm going to get into that in a minute. So if we think about that, if we think about what they want and what they need and the questions that they want answers, the first thing you want to do is that it revolves around keywords. If the topics are relevant to the business and how they can help your customer. Again, I'm going to keep using my example here. So my blog post is 10 social media marketing ideas you can do in 15 minutes. And as I said to you earlier, it does extremely well. I mean, we're talking thousands of people. I mean, I know it's at least 5,000. It could be more than that. I've lost, I don't know where the count is anymore. The people that have come to that one particular blog post. And let me explain to you, when we talk about keywords, the reason it is set up just like that is because of the keywords. And this is why it is so successful on Pinterest, because 10 social media marketing ideas you can do in 15 minutes. So if somebody's looking for social media marketing, I show up. Social media marketing ideas, I show up. Social media, I show up. Marketing ideas, I show up. That's a long tail keyword. So I can show up in pieces and parts of it. I can show up as social media marketing ideas, social media marketing, marketing ideas, social media. You see how I'm going with this? All of that was set up around keywords. So the idea is when you're creating this content, it's not just about, I'm going to put, well, I'm just going to answer this question, and this is what I'm going to do. You want to make sure that it revolves around the keywords, okay? So when you create this around the keywords, I would also ask you to look and see if there's content that you currently have. Do you have a blog post that you've written maybe a year ago that maybe you could just go in and you can update it? You can change out some of the keywords. You can add in some sort of, SEO optimization with the alt tags on the images. You can add some more information to it. You can update it. And is it centered around these keywords? Because if that's the case, you could turn a piece of content that may not have done well in the past into evergreen content based on the idea that this is answering a question. It's focusing on the needs of your customers. So you can take that content that you might currently already have and rework it so that you can have it more focused on these keywords. So when someone's reading your content, they should be able to find what they're looking for to solve this problem. So again, going back to my example, when you go to that blog post, there are 10 ideas, and they're really great ideas. And you can literally do most of these ideas in like 15 minutes. Sometimes even less than that, because that was the goal of it. The goal of it was, if you've got these little pieces of time and you just want to do like one little thing to help your social media marketing, what could you do? And so it solves that problem by giving you little 15-minute blocks of something to do with social media marketing ideas. And if we look at it from that perspective, that is what makes successful evergreen content work. So if we revisit an old piece of content, you can go back in there and keep it fresh, and you can update it with links and some new research. I actually have it on my list of things to do this week. Is I am going to go into that piece of content and I'm going to update it, because I had mentioned Twitter in that one. And so I need to add in something about threads. I'm going to make a couple of small little tweaks to it. But I'm also going to be doing another piece, which I'm going to talk about in a few more minutes, but I'm going to go in there and I'm going to update it. And one of the things that I am going to do on it, because it says the date on the top, I'm one of those people that has dates on the top of my blog post, is I'm going to put a big banner on the top of it that says updated July 2023. Because even though the original published date is 2018, I want to make sure that everybody knows that when they've landed on that page, that it has been updated. So I'm going to put a great big block of some sort of banner type of thing on there to let people know that even though it says 2018 on it, that I have updated it. And I am going to go in there and make a few small tweaks to it. So I'm going to update it. So when you update a current piece of content, I want you to look at these things. Is there a place for them to take action? Is the text confusing? Are you talking about something that's no longer existing anymore? Are they able to share this properly? Do they need to, add more sharing options to this? Is there a call to action on this? So you want to go through with the idea that it's not just about taking a piece of content and rewriting it completely, because that's not the point of this. If we're going to update some current content that's already fitting into some of these relevant keywords that your customers are looking for, especially long tail keywords, that we want to make sure that there's more than just them landing on your website. What can we do to convert them? What can we get them to convert into your email? What can we do to get them to move past just that one blog post, or just that one video, or just that one, whatever that thing is? Okay. So I want you to think about your long tail keywords. Is it relevant with regards to the content that you're working on right there? And then after you've gone through all of that, I want you to go through and take that one piece of content that you have updated and then repost them. Repost them on your social platforms with maybe a new image, change out some post copy or something like that. You can do all kinds of things. Let me give you my repurpose list. You could take a quote from it. You could turn the quote into an image, and that could be the image that you use. You could change out the image completely and change, put a new look and feel to it. You could create a content upgrade from it, which is one of the things that I'm currently working on right now. I am going to, because I have so many people coming to my website for that one piece of content, I am now going to convert them into my email list. I know that my pop-up gets there, And so I've been thinking about this, and I thought, okay, my pop-up is really good, and I love my email opt-in. So there's not much that I would change about my email opt-in, but I'm going to give them another opportunity to get on my email list, and I'm going to create a content upgrade. And most likely what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all 10 of those ideas and I'm going to streamline them. And so I'm going to say, here, you can download all 10 of these ideas. Plus, I'm going to give you 5 more new ideas that you can add to your list of things that you can do for 15 minutes. So it's going to be a really simple PDF, nothing fancy, nothing, heavy in the graphics or anything like that. Just something that they can download and that they can keep with them. But I can get them more on my email list. So if I miss them with the email pop-up, now I have the opportunity, another opportunity to get them on my email list by creating a content upgrade. So I'm still taking that current piece of content that I know is already driving me traffic, and I'm finding new ways to convert more people by adding some new pieces and parts to it. But again, I'm not talking about, doing an enormous overhaul of something like that. I just want you to go in there and make some small updates, make some small tweaks and things like that, especially with regards to your keywords, making sure that your keywords are still the topics target. Topics target. That was really hard to say. The target of your keyword topics. I don't know why I said that one. That's a tough one. Okay, the other thing I want to share about evergreen content is don't just bury this content. Don't just set it and forget it. Say, okay, the blog post is done, I'm there, or the video is done, whatever. There's lots of things that you can be doing on your website right now that you can reshare your evergreen content. There are people, if you'll go to a lot of people's websites and they've got these sidebars, and on their sidebars, they can always say, my top blog post, or my top, resources, or whatever the word is that they want to use. And they'll list it out there. So maybe you've landed on the web page for one thing, but then when you see the sidebar, you're like, oh, wait a minute, that's interesting to me. So you'll click over to that. Oh, that one's interesting to me as well. And then you've found yourself going down the rabbit hole with somebody, but you've also given yourself the opportunity to learn more about the work that they do. And from the perspective of the person's website, I am now building trust with you. I am now giving you the opportunity to know more about who I am and what I do and how I can help you. So think about how you can highlight your top posts or top resources on a sidebar. That's a great way that you're not burying your evergreen content. You can also do a start here page. I see that a lot on people's websites, where they will do a start here page. And this is like the first thing that you can do. They usually have it up in the navigation or on their homepage above the fold, so that you see this immediately. And then you'll go, oh, okay, this is where I start. So you start there. And on that start here page, that's where you can put a lot of that evergreen content, because it's something that it's answering questions. That the topics are related to what it is that your customers are looking for. So it's a great opportunity to take your evergreen content and your resources and all of those types of links and put them in one place where people can see all of it without having to go through bits and pieces of maybe your blog or shuffle through your entire YouTube, videos and all of that stuff, so that they can see things right there, and build a social media campaign across all of your sites using that. And that's one of the things that I'm getting ready to do as I put this content upgrade together. And I'm going to, do those slight tweaks to the blog post itself. When I add the content upgrade, it now allows me to use that content upgrade as a new piece of content. So I can promote the content upgrade as a download, a free download on Pinterest. I can talk about it on LinkedIn. I can talk about it. I can give this opportunity to link to it from my YouTube channels. I could add a new opportunity for people to come find me to download this content upgrade and take it from there and go from that place. And so then it also, converts more. It brings more traffic to my website. It can increase my email list. So you can see how one piece of content gives you the idea to do more than just set it and forget it. add pieces and parts to it to take it to that next place, to take it to that next level where it's more than just, okay, that's done, on to the next one. So I want you to go into, as you're creating content and as you're going through your brainstorming and as you're planting seeds about the work that you're doing, go into this with the idea of creating evergreen content. Because even if you don't have current, anything currently on your website right now, you can still create some evergreen content based on the ideas that I've just given you. So I want to give you some tips here, some tips for writing evergreen content. Of course, I'm going to say keywords. You want to choose the right keywords. Those long tail keywords are the best. And when you use a keyword, that is something that your customers are currently searching for. If the keywords are answering their questions, the keywords are the things that they're struggling with, that is the best place to start. So you're going to start with the keyword and go from there. And so if the keyword is social media marketing ideas, what are my social media marketing ideas? And so I'm going from the keyword and building off of that place right there. You want to optimize for SEO when you're internally linking. So let's talk about the resource page or the start here or the thing down at the, the sidebar. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Sidebar. All of those pieces and parts now create internal links to your site. And when you have more internal links within your website, that helps with your search rankings. It helps you with SEO. It helps you with Google. It helps you with all those little spiders who are out looking for stuff. SEO loves internal linking. So when you set this up to be linked or to be shared or to be, internally as well as externally, but specifically within internally, it's definitely going to help you optimize for SEO, your website. And when you're writing, I want you to think about how you're writing for beginners, because remember, this is evergreen content. This is not about highly technical, legalese, analyzed, all of that kind of stuff. Because what you're thinking about is if you just answered that question that somebody typed into Google and your blog post is going to come up in a search as the answer, you want to be able to answer that question without it turning into, a 3,000 word essay with, large words in it, where people don't understand it, because they're just going to end up clicking off and they're not going to stay with it. So you want to write for beginners. You want to write as simple and clean and provide clarity and answer their questions from that. So I want you to make sure that it's clear that we're talking about writing for beginners. And I want you to think about narrowing the topic, because when it's too broad, again, it's too much because you're not answering the question. So if my question is, light coming in, if my question is, what's something that I can do for 15 minutes with my social media marketing? My blog post will pop up and say, here's 10 things you could do with social media ideas if you have 15 minutes. I mean, it was about as narrow can be. I didn't talk about how Facebook works. What's an Instagram reel? I didn't do that. I answered a simple question. And so my entire evergreen content became based on this narrow question. So we want to make sure that we're not doing this great, big, huge thing. What is social media? That's a massive question. That's something that you don't want to do. You want to narrow that topic down, because that's what people are looking for. And that's what's going to help you come up in that search. So let's talk about the types of evergreen content. I'm sorry, I've got something's coming in the window here. The different types of evergreen content for you to use. I want you to think about how you can do maybe some original research. That idea that we talked about at the very beginning, how can you put you into this to answer the question? What makes you different? What makes you unique? What makes your business unique? Put you into that talk about it from that perspective. It could be a blog post, it could be a video, it could be whatever it is, just something that's an original research. These are really good types of evergreen content. Successful case studies and what went wrong case studies. Those are also really, really great ideas for evergreen content. And then there's all the how-to contents that you can do. How-to content in a blog post, how-to for beginners, how-to for advanced users, how-to a different kind of checklist, how to choose the best product, how to do something over time, how to do something. And again, it doesn't always just have to be a blog post. One of the best how-tos that I've ever seen was I saw somebody showing you step by step of how to create something, and she took pictures. And so her post was about the pictures, and it took me through the steps. Step one, it's going to look like this. Step two, it's kind of like a recipe. When you see people who are posting about recipes, and then they'll show you their ingredients, and then they show you what's in the mixing bowl, and then they show you that it's, cooking, and then they show you how they set it up before they set it into the oven. Same thing. But you don't even have, but it doesn't always have to be a recipe. I actually saw somebody doing this type of how-to with just pictures, with just a whole bunch of pictures, so there's lots of different ways that we could create these types of how-to types of evergreen content. Another great thing is a resource list. Oh, people love resource lists, best paid or free tools list, best books, greatest roundup post, and it doesn't even have to be your roundup post. You could say, I found the best post of how to use Instagram Reels to grow your email list. And you could use other people's, if you find some really great content out there from other people, and you can, obviously you're going to link back to their website. Don't take their content and put it on your site, but just put, maybe a paragraph and their link to them and who they are and what they do. But you can do all kinds of things like that. And that's another great source, especially if the resources that you are looking at are things that are not going to be changing, that are not going to be, 1 month they're here, 1 month they're not. You don't want to use those types of resources that are going to be disappearing pretty soon. You want something that's going to be there for long periods of time if you're going to do a tools list or best books or something like that. Another type of content that you can create is like the history or the product or service, common mistakes in your industry, best or worst practice to reach a specific goal, everything you need to know about blank. So, think about all of these. These are really, I'm giving you some really great ideas to get you started. If you've never done any kind of evergreen content before, these are some really good places to start. So if you could think about these things that I just listed out, and then you do your little brainstorm activity and you ask yourself some open-ended questions. If I was going to do the best of practice or worst practice to do X, Y, and Z, how might we share that? How could I, provide value for these people, doing it from that perspective. So these are really, really great places for you to start, especially with regards if you've not done any type of evergreen content before. And when we think about this, as I'm wrapping this up and wrapping you up early, because I'm talking really fast right now, the success of your evergreen content is going to rely on those basic points. What do your customers need? What questions do they want answered? We're going to make sure that that's where we start from. We always start from that place. What do they need? What questions do they need answers? What are they searching for? What are people running searches on? What are they looking for? And if you're still not sure about what to do, one of the best things that I can tell you to do is to go onto Pinterest, because Pinterest has that guided search at the very, very top of it. And if you start typing in Social media, it will come up with social media marketing, social media ideas, social media content, social media this. And so it can start you out with the keywords. So then you're able to define the keywords even better. And once you can define that keywords, run that search. Run that search. Do the search also on Google. Use both of those places. You could also use YouTube and use TikTok. All of those are searchable places. And what I would always advise you to do, especially if you've never done this before, spend some time looking at the results. Look at what comes up. Look at what the answers are. What was the content that was created to answer those questions? What is the content that was developed using those keywords? See what pulls up and take a look at what they're doing. Take a look at their images, take a look at their post, take a look at how they're using their keywords in it. Take a look at the title and all of those kinds of things. Go into analysis, not analysis paralysis, where I'm asking you to spend so much time researching that you don't move forward and do anything. But like I said, if you have never been in this place before and you have never tried this and you haven't even attempted any type of evergreen content, that is the best place to start. Run a search and see what's going on. Because the thing is these people who have come before you have done their research. And if their content is showing up, it's showing up for a reason, because A, they've got those keywords in there that's allowing that search to find them. B, they know that this is the question that their customers are asking. And C, click on that link. See what their blog post is like. Watch their video, watch their Instagram reel, whatever it is that's popping up and showing, and seeing how are they putting themselves into this content. And it could give you some ideas. And if you see somebody else doing something like that, it's easy for you to say, how could I take this topic and add myself into it? And what makes me unique? And what makes my business special? And what makes my business different, that you would want to know more about me, and that you would want to learn more about me, and you would want to get onto my email list, and you would want to eventually, get to a place where you could become a customer of mine. So use this information and start from that place. So if you don't have any content that you currently have that you think that you could update and turn it into evergreen content, start in that place. Do a little bit of research. And I'm saying a little bit of research. I am not telling you to spend weeks and days and months. I'm actually asking just for one session, one quick research session. Focus on those keywords. Focus on that and see what comes up. Because what's going to happen is, like I said, they've done their research. And especially if it's on Google or YouTube or Pinterest or TikTok and it's coming up, there is something that has triggered the algorithm for that to be coming up as a response. So if I'm typing in a question in Google and these blog posts come up, why do these blog posts come up? So come from it from that perspective, not just, or like, oh, everybody's got 10 social media marketing ideas. Okay, now what? Come from the idea of, what could you learn from this? What could you take from this? You could see that the heading and the blog post is the keywords, which is most likely what it is. The URL, the name of the blog post URL has a keyword in it. The first paragraph has keywords in it. I want you to look at it from that perspective and study it from that sense. Go ahead and look at the content by all means. But think about that. Think about from that perspective. Okay, if I could put that in there, and if I could put those keywords in there, what is it about those keywords? What is it about that particular answer to that question? And how do I answer that? How could I answer that question differently? How could I take that answer? Maybe everybody's answer is the same answer because it doesn't change, but how could I add something unique to it? because that is the thing that's going to make your content stand out, because you're not like everybody else. And sometimes when I'm doing research, I am shocked at how frequently I see the same stuff over and over and over again. Like people are cutting and pasting other people's content into their blog posts. And I'm thinking, I know I saw this on the last answer. This is the same. And I don't mean, a word or two. I'm talking paragraphs I've seen exactly the same. It's shocking to me. I'm not calling anybody out. That's not what I'm here to do. But what I do notice is when I see that, I think there has to be a better way to say this. There has to be another way to say this, because that's not the way I'm perceiving it. That's not the way that I'm answering that question. And so I want you to think about it from that perspective. Think about how you can add your unique spin to it. What is it that's making your content different and unique, in the sense that I want to read the whole thing. I want to learn more. I want to go through, your sidebar and read some more of the stuff that you've written. I want to get on your email list so I can learn more. I want to download whatever that free content thing is that you've got. Take me to that place. So that's the idea here. It's not just about set it and forget it. We don't want to set it and forget it. I know it's evergreen content. And I know. And so here's the thing about evergreen content too. And that's one of the things that I read about when I was doing my research about this. A lot of people were like, yeah, but isn't all content evergreen? Because it's never goes away. Once it's there, it's there. We've been hearing this for years. Once it's on the internet, it's up there. It never goes away. It doesn't make it evergreen. Just because it's there and it doesn't go away doesn't mean that it's evergreen. What makes it evergreen is because it focuses on your customers' needs, it answers their questions, and the content continues to be relevant and valuable long past the date that you published it. That is the definition of evergreen right there. So we don't want to just set it and forget it. That's not the point of the evergreen content. And then once it all comes together like that, it then allows us to promote it as a new piece of content. As I shared with you before with my blog post, I am now going to do a content upgrade. And so that content upgrade, that one simple little PDF that I'm going to create with it, is going to create a whole new piece of content for me to start sharing. It gives me a whole new opportunity to reach out to people, to get more people to come and look at this one particular blog post. And hopefully, my goal is to get more people on my email list. So we want to take it to the next level. It's not just about, a keyword. It's just not about putting up a blog post and going, we're done. That's the way we're done. Evergreen, check. It doesn't work like that. So we want to be very intentional. We want to make sure that the content has a purpose and it is intentional. And that's what's going to make it successful for you. And that's what's going to help you grow your presence online. All right. So let me remind you all one more time before I let you go. No, I'm going to have questions if you guys need some questions answered. Reminding you all, the content creation workshop, we've got our new dates, September 7th and September 12th. I know both of you who are here with me today, you've both been on one of these, so I don't need to go into too much detail. But for those of you who are watching the replay and you have not joined us before, it is a lot of fun. We basically show up and you're there with anywhere between 2 to 3, or hopefully at least 3. So there's 6 spaces available, business owners. And I'm not teaching. I don't have slides. I don't have any of this information like this. We start talking about where we're struggling with our content, and everybody jumps in. And if everybody has experience with a program, if somebody knows about somebody that they can refer you to, if they've got any ideas, it turns into this group brainstorming type of thing where you will always walk away from the session with new and amazing content ideas, because you weren't just sitting there by yourself at the table trying to figure this out yourself. You are here with a group of people who are more than willing to share their experience and their information with you. So I hope that you all will definitely join us. So it is bit.ly/ co-work content, only 6 spaces available. We're going to be doing 2 different sessions, one on September 7th and one on September the 12th. Okay, now I know I've got a couple of you here with me live. Did anybody have any questions about anything that you might want to ask about evergreen content, brainstorming, keywords, repurposing? Anything I can do for you guys today? Kate's gone. Okay. Marina, anything you want to ask? Or if you're good to go, then I can actually let you go early. Okay. I'm not seeing anything from you today. All right. Sounds good. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining me on the next Create Better Content workshop series. I look forward to seeing you all next month, especially for those of you who are here with me live. I really appreciate that. And for all of you who are joining me on the replay today, thank you so much. And until next time, I will see you then.